In breaking news, Victoria's opposition leader Matthew Guy has announced he is standing down as Liberal leader following a thumping loss for the Liberals at the state election. Julia Bradley has the latest from Victoria's Parliament. Julia, what are the details?
Well, Matthew Guy, Victoria's opposition leader, Gab, has announced within the last hour via a statement that he will be stepping down as the head of the Liberal Party here in Victoria. There were suggestions that perhaps last night, as soon as that result became dangerously clear, the fact that the Labor Party was going to be returned to government and returned with a majority, delivering Daniel Andrews a third term as Premier, suggestions that perhaps he may have announced that he'd be stepping down after that result became clear. That didn't eventuate, and instead today he has made that decision to stand down. That coming in the form of a statement. I'm told he won't be doing any further media today. Matthew Guy, in that statement, thanking the candidates that ran for the Liberal Party and also reflecting on the Liberal loss last night. He said the respectable statewide two-party preferred swing to the coalition of 3 to 4%, most profound in the exceptional swings to the Liberal Party in Melbourne's north and west. He's also noted that this represents a huge future electoral opportunity for the Liberal Party. But he said as soon as it is clearer which Liberal Party candidates will form the next parliamentary party room, I will call them together to elect their new leadership team, noting at the bottom of that statement that I will not be a candidate for the position of leader. Now, as we all expected, discussions have already begun about who could possibly replace Matthew Guy as the leader of the Liberal Party here. Reports suggesting that former opposition leader Michael O'Brien may be seeking a tilt to leadership. Michael O'Brien, of course, was rolled by Matthew Guy early last year in that high-stakes leadership spill for the Liberal Party. Some suggestions today as that post-mortem begins about whether that was the right move to see Matthew Guy returned as an opposition leader for a second time. Also, Brad Batten's name has been floated around. The Shadow Emergency Services Minister, suggestions he may be seeking the leadership of the Liberal Party. Also, other names mentioned, the Shadow Transport Infrastructure Minister, Matthew Bark. So he's been really vocal about this suburban rail loop project. That was that pet project for the Daniel Andrews government. He's come out really firmly in opposition to this. We've seen some controversial comments this morning. Tim Smith, that outgoing MP for Kew, he suggested that the entire leadership team for the Victorian Liberals should not contest. So suggesting that the Shadow Health Minister, Georgie Crozier, the Deputy David Southwick and the Shadow Treasurer, David Davis, should not be contesting their positions either. Plenty to play out in the next few days as it becomes clear who may be seeking that tilt to leadership.
Indeed, Julia, and no doubt the Liberals have some soul-searching to do.
That's right, Gab. So the Liberal Party really not seeing that large swing towards them that they were expecting in the outer suburbs. Suggestions as well that there needs to be a major internal reform here to look at how the Liberal Party is going to be attracting younger voters in the future. Suggestions as well about whether they need to be getting some stronger female candidates on board. We've also heard this morning Brad Batten, who is one of the contenders for leadership, suggesting that the Liberal Party needs to have a good look at its anti-Dan strategy in lieu of a positive sell for change. He's also suggested that his colleagues really need to get out there and engage with voters more rather than relying on Facebook messaging. Now, a number of problems that have been spoken about since that state election result was clear last night. Deep-seated issues perhaps with the Liberal brand as a whole. We saw this play out at a federal level. It's happened here in Victoria as well. And the question is whether there will be an impact in New South Wales, given that election is just around the corner. And it's clear that this was an issue with the Liberal brand, not the Nationals. So it's not a coalition issue because the Nationals did do reasonably well at the state election. One senior Victorian National here has even suggested this morning that the possibility of splitting up the coalition in Victoria needs to be on the table. So there's some food for thought. No doubt these discussions will continue over the weeks and months to follow about how the Liberal Party needs to rebuild.
Julia Bradley, thanks so much.